Well, ladies and gentlemen, did you see it yesterday? The nuclear rainfall in Florida, as per Vladimir Putin, the soon-to-be once again elected president of Russia. He could be president as long as he wants, because in Russia, ladies and gentlemen, thanks to Vladimir Putin and his boy Medvedev, there are no term limits for the presidente. So, if you look at the diagram, Vladimir Putin bragged about having the newest and the best. Actually, go ahead and put it up. And you can, by way of an interpreter, you can hear exactly what he said. And really listen at the ominous statements he made at the very end. The very end. It's ominous. It's frightening. All of this while the diagram is showing, and this is very telling, bro. See, you guys think that Rip Daniels off his rocker or something, but trust me, I'm a genius. Not as our president, of course, but notice how he would send the nuclear warhead missiles from the North Pole, going straight down the Atlantic. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And one would ask, well, how did they do that? Where are they coming from? They're coming from the military base that you guys don't hear about because your president doesn't want to talk about it or do anything about it. If you call Rip Daniels and you want to show and want to demonstrate to Rip Daniels that he is absolutely wrong about this guy being a Manchurian president, then trust me, you better give me some evidence, because I've got plenty of evidence to prove the contrary. If you've not seen the diagram, you need to. Vladimir Putin is bragged on this huge screen. I mean, huge screen. I'm talking like 50 by 50, 40 by 40. I mean, almost the size of the half of a football field. Huge. Maybe half of a half. So he's doing this diagram and he's showing how this new technology he has, whereby you've got cruise missiles with nuclear warheads, and the fact that they can evade anything we have. He's bragging on it. But the most ominous part is when you saw his target. It wasn't Washington, D.C.
No.
It was Florida. So you see 1020 animated nukes raining on Florida, of all the places in the whole wide world who could be his enemy. Why the United States and why Florida? There are some who feel that this is not our enemy. This is not a hostile nation. Do you believe me now? So here's Vladimir Putin giving fair warning to the United States. And then we're going to play how Donald John responds. Listen to Vladimir.
No other country in the world has this kind of arsenal. Why did we do all this? Why did we agree on it? There were absolutely no secrets about it. We said it absolutely publicly to all our colleagues. Despite all the problems that we encountered in terms of the economy and finance, industry and so on, Russia still has the greatest nuclear potential in the world, but nobody listened to us. Now listen.
Now listen. You listening now, world? Actually, more specifically, are you listening now, United States? With nukes raining? Good morning, Don. Appreciate you listening, by the way. I'm watching us on Facebook. Now, folks, let me just tell you this. There's something eerily wrong. I don't want to be the Paul Revere here, just telling you the British is coming, but there's something wrong here. So you got Vladimir Putin with a diagram showing Florida and nuclear bombs raining down on it, and he's explaining that he's got now a nuclear-powered rocket that is cruise control, and actually a submersible, unmanned submersible that can also have a warhead. In other words, it's a submarine. With not nuclear missiles, but the entire submersible, the submarine itself, is a nuke. Didn't do a demonstration of that. You know what we heard from the president? Play it, bro. This big wuss, this punk didn't say a damn thing. You know, folks, I'm just so completely disappointed in some of my associates who continue to put this country at risk. This is not Democrat, Republican. This is Russian and America. Now, if this is not crystal clear to you, I don't know what is. I don't know what else I could say. How does anything else, look, how does anything in politics rate against Vladimir Putin, the leader of Russia, showing a demonstration of nukes raining on Florida? There is no comparison. Well, Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. Oh, will Hillary Clinton and her taxes and where's her computer? What is he tweeting about now? Alex Baldwin? He talks more about his own people. He said more about Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, than he has Vladimir Putin. We have a president who's at war with Americans because he represents Russia. He realizes that he couldn't get elected again unless he has Russian support again, which is why there's no sanctions, which is why when his intelligence heads come to him and say, look, well, what is our strategy to combat this? What do you hear from Donald John? Crickets. Now, if you think that this guy is making America great again, then you're going to have to explain to me why there's no response. Folks, let me just tell you this. If I had some guy demonstrate the use of his AR-15 on my house, in other words, if this guy goes, pulls up a target and he just happens to have Rip Daniels or a house, trust me on this. I know this guy's not my friend, bro. I know I need to be prepared for this guy. I need to make sure that this guy understands beyond a shadow of a doubt that if he has any wince, any thought of doing that, I know where he lives. We've done this before.
Yep.
This bothers me because I see an indifference. I see an indifference in our society. You guys have been led to believe by way of simple 3-minute sound bites or tweets that there's nothing else going on. I mean, Facebook, you're just preoccupied with some of the most sublime, the simplest bull crap. And it's like, do you see what just happened? This guy just called out the United States is what he just did. Now, I said yesterday, by the way, I was the first to announce this could be a bluff. Our Pentagon, the president said nothing. But we did hear something from the Pentagon, bro. Right? Did we get some comment, some official word or response?
Yeah, the Pentagon did come out and say...
Mad Dog Mathers say something, or...?
No, it wasn't Mathers.
And that last I heard was that, well, we know that they tried to shoot the rocket, but it crashed, or something to that effect.
Well, Dana White is speaking out for the Pentagon. He's saying he's not surprised by the claim. Quoting him, the American people should rest assured that we are fully prepared, end quote. We need to ensure we have a credible nuclear deterrent, and we are confident that we are prepared to do, and we are prepared to defend this nation no matter what.
This guy is orchestrating like you could not believe, folks. He's following the Ronald Reagan playbook. I personally feel that...
Wait, which guy?
Vladimir Putin. In other words, that's what we did. We drove the Soviet Union out of business, actually, because they were overstretched with their military in Afghanistan and in Georgia. We forced down the ruble, their dollar. And then, thanks to Reagan's bluff on Star Wars, they overspent or tried to keep pace with spending to counteract the bluff of Star Wars. To which Gorbachev just got to the point whereby he threw up his hands, and for the most part, the Soviet Union dissolved because of economics.
That's the done, yeah.
That's where we're headed. this could be a bluff from I almost said Mikhail Gorbachev, from Vladimir Putin. Then it may not be. When Donald John took office, he bragged about this. His having this cruise missile. And Mattis, our Pentagon head defense chief, complained about it. Got no backup. He received no backup from our president.
President's got to back up his president.
You would think with Vladimir Putin putting Florida in the target, the president would have slapped sanctions like you would not believe. The sanctions that the majority of Congress voted for. The ones he's not instituted against Russia. He did not. He has done absolutely, positively not one thing. He hasn't even cracked his lips against Vladimir. Because Vladimir said good things about him. How dare he? I think that's his stick. But he's following his boss's orders. You can't ignore this. I don't know how anyone but me can't see what just happened. He didn't have bombs raining on China, his neighbor to the south. He didn't have it raining on, the Ukraine, his neighbor to the west, or Turkey. He has but one nemesis, Vladimir Putin, and that's us. That's why those bombs were raining on Florida here, folks. The demonstration of whether or not they have military might is inasmuch as he can defeat America. And wants to demonstrate to America that he will. You cannot have a mealy-mouthed, weak-kneed, fat boy in the White House who is Vladimir Putin's boy. I'm sorry. I'm insulting. But that's what it looks like. And by the way, the only thing insulting in that was not insulting was Fat Boy. Fat Boy's all right. What do we do about it? America, I'm going to tell you what you've got to do about it. Anyone who supports this guy that's running for Congress, you must vote against it. I don't care how long. Look, I am not voting for Roger Wicker. I am not voting for McDaniels at all, unless it is a strategy to get someone else in there in that White House to minimize the effect that Donald John is going to have on my great country for the next 3 years, folks. This guy is more about himself. This whole tariff thing and all of that out of the clear blue sky was to put something else into the media. His whole tweets, all of this is to sidetrack the media, get them talking about something else, overwhelm the public with all kinds of outrageous stuff. Especially when his aides, his top dogs, are being ousted or they resign. Give them something else to think about. Something outrageous, yes. They say, let's talk about gun control. Let's just say something outrageous, yes. Let's go in and slap tariffs on Russia. Don't get me wrong, not a bad idea. I talked to some scrap people this morning, and I'm going to tell you, there's a very good thing, that there's a very great possibility that the tariffs on aluminum and steel could actually up the cost of cans. Now, you might pay more for your cold drinking cans, but those guys who are picking up those cans and on bicycles and taking them to the scrap yard right behind us, they might do all right.
They're going to do all right, but when they go down to the store and buy their beer, they're going to have to pay more? Is that what you're telling me right now? I got to pay more for my beer in a can?
Well, it's relative. So you get a bottle.
I could get a bottle.
Well, you could get a bottle.
Could get a bottle. Good point. That's why I listen to you, Rick. Got good point.
That's exactly right. So now you get your bottle, you get in the bottle, and then you can take the cans, you pick the cans up, and it might increase. I'm saying might. I talked to folks with scrap companies, and they're guardedly optimistic. Nothing's changed as of yet, like in the case with the stock market that's going down right now. But you have to ask yourself, how did we get here? Now, the president has suggested, okay, we've got to increase our nuclear capabilities. So now we are now going back into an arms race. Why? And whose actually idea is this? Is it Donald John's or is it Vladimir Putin's? I'm going to suggest to you it's Vladimir's. This is carefully orchestrated, folks, way beyond most of you can glean. You have to be somewhat sinister to understand what Rip is talking about. Yeah, I have the ability to be sinister now. You can't open up a business in Mississippi and not be sinister. I'm just being candid. I lost everything I had in 1984, and I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When my daddy grabbed me by the arm and said, when I was saying, "Oh, it's not fair, it's not fair," my daddy grabbed me by the arm and goes, "Well, I know it's not fair. It ain't never been fair. Why are you playing fair? Nothing fair about this." Particularly when it comes down to competition, or when it comes down to competing with another country in total. Which is why I love America. Whatever we have done in the past, whatever this country has stood for and done in the past, you can sit there, "Oh yeah, you can complain about America all you want. I love it here. Still my country." It is. And yeah, there's been some shenanigans we've done. Even to our own folk, even to my people. Still the best country in the world now, trust me on this. I could make this country what I want it to be, but I can tell you, you go to Greece, you can't do that. You can't do it in Zimbabwe either. I'm going to tell you that now. I mean, it's your all due respect, and it's close to Wakanda, but it's the lands of the free and the home of the brave here, folks. And it's one thing that we here in America take very seriously, and that's the pursuit of happiness. And notice I said pursuit. You're not going to be happy unless you run after it now. Unless you're willing to chase happiness down, bite it on the neck, let it tremble in your lips, and die, you won't be happy. You got to do that. Am I being too bold?
No.
Am I being too vicious? Are you okay? You got that look on your face, Will, aren't I?
I'm all right.
Am I testosterone? Do I have too much testosterone this morning?
No, it's just Friday.
You sure? It's just Friday, yeah.
It's Friday.
I'm chipping at the bit. But I'm incensed. We've got folks playing on the cell phones while bombs. You got a guy that's raining nuclear bombs on Florida. So the analytical guy that I am, I had to ask myself, why out of all the places would Vladimir Putin rain bombs on Florida? Everything is for a cause and not just because. My friends in Bethesda, Maryland, know something about this, and I have some connections here and there in some very hot places. Cloak and dagger, maybe. So they explained to me, Florida is the new command control. Well, going back to Iraq, but it's more than that now. It's more than that now. You see, ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason why Elon Musk launches most of his rockets there from Florida and so forth. It has become now a cornerstone in the military. And Vladimir Putin was sending that signal. It's not Washington, D.C., even with the president. The president's got a hardened bunker there. And it's not even in the Midwest. Now they know.
Yeah.
It's Florida.
That's where CENTCOM is. That's where the president landed on 9/11, quiet as it's kept.
Mm. Well, you realize, 9/11, the president was already in Florida. You're reading My Pet Goat, remember?
But where CENTCOM is, that's at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. He went up and then came back down there.
Tampa's not that far from Orlando. Well, it was in Orlando.
1 hour.
Yeah. See, folks, things are not operating in a vacuum. And some of you guys have watched too much TV, and you just kind of think, oh, yeah, well, what is it? It is news du jour. Now what is it going to be? I get tired of hearing about that. I just want to go out and have sex. Let's have some sex. Let's talk about sex, Rip. You like that, huh, Willa?
Right.
You got bums raining down on Florida, and it's like, okay, yeah, right. He could not find a weaker American right now. We really are. We don't even know what is real news.
He'll make it this week.
He did. We have no idea as to what is genuine and what isn't. We could do an emergency alert. And some of you guys will go, is that a real emergency alert? You can hear the tone, or is that just a test? That's not a real one, is it?
But that's a fake news alert right now. They're ringing that tone. Ain't no emergency out there. They're just trying to get you up in arms and get you all scared. That's all that is. Well, we know the fake from the real.
How will we know?
Well,
How will we know, brother?
You got to know. You got to know. Quit lying.
What has happened is Vladimir Putin, as a result of the elections, have sown the right seeds for you, good God-fearing Americans, to not trust the authorities, period. I mean, from the highest of the high, which is now the Justice Department and the FBI, to the lowest of the low, really. There is a bit of cynicism in all of us. Even those who support Donald John don't even trust the FBI that answers to him. That's just crazy. It really is. If Donald John says McMaster's or any one of his intelligence agencies are wrong, you believe Donald John, because after all, Donald John is smarter than all the generals. But I'm incensed, ladies and gentlemen, that there has been not one comment from my president, not one, regarding Vladimir Putin's assertions that he can bomb America, get away with it, that we are defenseless. And don't get me wrong, I don't doubt that our intelligence is such that we know, and we have an idea as to, and I trust this now, folks, we have an idea as to Vladimir Putin's capabilities. But when a guy shows a diagram that shows the attack on one of your states and there is no response, I'll let one of the trumpets explain this away. What he meant was, I'll be waiting for any one of you to explain it away. Just be very careful, because your patriotism is at risk in my book. This is not Democrat Republic. This is America versus Russia, and Russia has indicated that.
Just an aside here. Whenever this argument came up about, oh, well, you know, the Russians not doing anything, there's no collusion, their patriotism at that point was dead because they killed it.
Yeah. All right, I understand there were shots fired there in Michigan Road. What's happening with this?
Yeah, two were shot at Central Michigan University. According to the latest reports, the gunman appears to still be at large. Those two were shot and killed during the shooting there at a dorm, according to Michigan State troopers.
Were they shot with a slingshot?
No.
A bow and arrow?
No.
Crossbow?
No. They were killed with gunfire, but no word on what kind of gun was used just yet.
By the way, the president, he said it very well. Well, first, yesterday, the president said this regarding taking guns without due process.
But take the guns first, go through due process second.
Take the guns first, go through due process second. Let me tell you, you guys, Second Amendment guys, I'm going to tell you, you guys are suckers. I was a sucker board every day. I'm just going to tell you that for this guy to say this is what he just did. What he just said was, get rid of the Second Amendment altogether. That's what he said. Take the guns first, due process later. Last night he met with members of the NRA. He came out of that saying a different story. Oh, you know, I don't know if I want to stick to that or not. Even this 21 thing, raising the age of 21. By the way, I'm against that. Raising the age of 21. I am. Why? Someone asked me why I'm against the raising the age. Well, for this reason. Here's the reason. If a person can be drafted, a guy can be drafted at 18 years old, and as far as I'm concerned, that is the age of maturity.
Station, WJZC FM Long.
And that is a man. We have a problem over there?
Sorry about that.
And so, you know, lost my train of thought. Thank you very much. So anyway, so I'm against that. I'm more for the control of access to certain firearms. I am. That's what I'm for. Right now, I think there should be a moratorium on size clips. They should be just pretty much like what you have there in, is it Connecticut? Sandy Hook?
Yes.
The Connecticut legislature did, in fact, pass pretty much the laws I think should be instituted now. Has nothing to do with confiscation. Has more to do with registration and ownership. You know, Switzerland has the same thing. I don't have any fear that someone's going to come along and take all my guns. But if I have a gun that I want registered, I need to have it registered. If not, then guess what? You're breaking the law. All right, then you need to be prepared to pay the price for that. You understand what I'm saying? Some of you gun owners out there, you know what I'm talking about. All of this, you know, we've been here before. We've been, in my lifetime, folks, you realize there was a ban on assault weapons, and there was a ban on certain weapons, and there was you had to have some weapons that were registered, and you couldn't have a concealed weapon. All of that. You couldn't have a weapon that wasn't concealed without having, at the very least, law enforcement stopping you and questioning you. And then if you're African American, even arresting you. Because the thought is that you have some intent. If you've got a anti-personnel device strapped on your back and you're walking in front of a bank or walking downtown, number one, it's going to impair business, and number two, it's going to there's a perceived threat. It's in the hands of those who feel that someone walking on the beach or in the mall with a firearm is not a threat. You're a threat. You're a threat to everybody who's there, whether you know it, whether it's your right or not. That's what you are. You are, folks. And I think it's time for some common sense on it. It really is. Speaking of that, there was a pre-kindergarten student who. Did you arrest this kid? I guess he was arrested. Where is it here? It was
Turned over to protective services after that.
Was he?
But yeah.
Well, I guess he had to be because the adults he was with were not protecting him at all, were they? Where was this?
Augusta, Georgia.
Augusta, Georgia. Pre-K, that makes him what, 5?
Less than that.
5, 4 years old? Gee. So they found the weapon, it was a loaded weapon, it says.
Yes, loaded.
In his backpack? Whoa.
Southside Elementary.
Whoa. So, of course, his parents, after investigation by the police, the owner of the weapon was charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor. You think that's all it should be charged with?
I don't think this child understands the gravity of what he's doing.
You know, I can see something contributing to the delinquency. I don't know what that carries.
It was loaded.
Yeah, I think that's negligence. I mean that I don't know. It's a deadly weapon, obviously.
Yeah.
We're going to keep you posted on this. Now, where did he get the gun? Well, the kid couldn't buy the gun, that's for sure. Now, folks, this doesn't mean I'm against all guns. Don't think that. I do think that we who are gun owners have to be more responsible, period. And I also feel that at this point in time, we have enough weapons out here, well over, 300 million, maybe around 600 million. Who's counting? Who knows? Whereby, at the very least, if there is some regulation, those of us who have other firearms, the cost of that firearm will go up, and hopefully we will treat it like the valuable item that it is.
Tool.
Just saying. If you wouldn't leave $100 sitting on the front seat of your car, right? Why would you leave a firearm? One could argue. There was an assessment of whether or not Donald John is a racist. What do you think, bro?
Is that even a question? Are we still asking?
Well, it is a question. There's a question. The question was disapproval of Trump's handling of race relations. They asked African Americans and Caucasians. I was surprised. African Americans said 91%. Caucasians 59%. Most Caucasians feel that he doesn't handle race relations very well.
Well, he's incapable. He doesn't know how. He doesn't.
No, look at my African American over here. Look at him.
No, you can't. No, he's incapable. He does not know how. I mean,
it was Killmonger, so. I'm just kidding.
From way back, even his father, supported such ideas and ideologies. The same guy that was arrested with the Klan after the riot with the police.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course he's a racist. Is that even? Yeah.
Another question was asked, do you think that Donald John is a racist? From 0 to 100. African Americans, 84%. Only 84% said he thinks he's a racist. How about that? 91% thought that he wasn't handling race relations very well.
How does that even work?
What the big number here is how the number of Caucasians who felt that he was a racist. You want to guess, Whitlock, or do you know already?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Between 0 and 100. So what percentage of Caucasians you think feel that Donald John is a racist?
35.
47.
That's a serious answer.
Well, 47%.
Oh, well,
You're surprised, right?
slightly better.
3% less than half. How about that? That's quite telling. I mean, especially if you're an African American.
Quite.
They had an AR-15 church blessing in Pennsylvania. Hundreds of crown-wearing worshipers clutching AR-15 rifles drank holy wine and exchanged or renewed wedding vows in a commitment ceremony at a Pennsylvania church. These are real good church folk. Well, you know, and actually this isn't anything new. It's kind of ceremonial. It is the World Peace and Unification Sanctuary. Only way you can have peace is by strength. You got your AR right next to you.
In church. With your crown on.
Well, what they believe is that the AR-15 symbolizes the rod of iron. How about that?
Church of God in Killmonger.
It is in the Bible, in the book of Revelations, this rod of iron.
Yeah.
Why an AR? That is the worst weapon to have, really.
Rod
It's
of
jammed
iron.
too easy.
Not a automatic weapon of iron. There's several pieces. And I don't know if there's any actual iron in that place.
You know, I really favor, you know, the AR is all right, but what is it, Smith & Wesson, I think, yeah. Is it Smith & Wesson? Or is it a Colt? There's another one that I favor that's a lot smoother, a lot easier. And the AKs, generally speaking, are a lot better, depending on where they're from.
Yeah, which clone you get.
Yeah, which one? Hang on, folks. It's Friday. We talk about whatever you want to talk about and a whole lot more. We've got the history fact on the veterans. And Philip, you're next. We'll be back.
The Jackson Advocate newspaper has been the voice of black Mississippians since 1938. The Jackson Advocate wants to come into your home each week and keep you informed of local, state, national, and world events. To subscribe today, call 601-948-4122 or email jadvocat@aol.com. If you're looking to get information out about your business, keep in mind that because of their long and successful publishing history in Jackson, they have become uniquely positioned to provide access to the marketplace throughout the state of Mississippi. Contact the Jackson Advocate, the voice of black Mississippi, at 601-948-4122 or jadvocat@aol.com. To advertise or subscribe, call 601-948-4122.
It's about that